Welcome back to Speak English Fluently. Today, James and I are talking about something very important and very powerful. It is the idea that it is never too late to start. Many people believe they are too old, too tired, too busy, too far behind, or too unsuccessful to begin something new in life.
Yes, that is very true. Many people think they missed their chance in life. They look at other people who started earlier and became successful, and then they feel like there is no point in trying anymore. They believe they are already too late.
I think many people compare themselves too much with others. They see someone becoming successful at a young age and then start feeling bad about themselves. They think, I should have started earlier, or I am too late now.
Exactly. But people forget that everyone has a different journey. Some people find success early, while others need more time. That does not mean the slower person is failing. It only means their journey is different.
I think one of the biggest reasons people do not start is because they are afraid. They're afraid of failure, rejection, criticism, and making mistakes.
Yes, fear stops many people from changing their lives. They think, what if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I am not good enough? Or what if I waste my time? Because of those fears, they never even try.
But I think people should ask a different question. Instead of asking, what if I fail? They should ask, what if I succeed? Sometimes one small decision can completely change a person's future.
Exactly. One new habit, one new skill, one new opportunity, or one new idea can create a completely different life. Many successful people started with only one small step.
I think many people also wait too long because they believe they need the perfect time to start. They think life needs to become easier before they can begin.
That is very true. People often say, I will start next month, I will start next year, or I will start when life becomes less stressful. But the perfect time never comes.
Life will always have problems, stress, responsibilities, and difficulties. There will always be something that makes people feel afraid or uncomfortable.
Exactly. That is why people should not wait for life to become perfect. They should start even when life is difficult. People can still make progress during hard times.
I think people also become discouraged because they believe they are too late compared to others. They see someone younger becoming successful and then feel like they already lost their chance.
Yes, but being late is still better than never starting. It is much better to begin today than to keep waiting for another 5 years. 5 years will pass anyway, so people should use that time to improve their life.
I think many people regret the things they never tried more than the things they failed at. They often look back and think, I wish I had started earlier.
That is very true. Failure can teach lessons, but regret can stay for many years. People often forget that trying something and failing is still better than never trying at all.
I think people should remember that even small progress is important. They do not need to change their whole life in one day. That can make people feel overwhelmed.
Exactly. Small actions repeated every day can create very big changes in the future. A person only needs to take one small step at a time. Those small steps slowly become something bigger.
I think another important thing is that age does not matter as much as people think. People can still learn, improve, and grow at almost any age.
Yes. People can learn new skills, improve their health, build a business, start a YouTube channel, improve their English, or change their habits at almost any age. There are many people who became successful much later in life.
I think people should stop thinking about how late they are and start thinking about how much time they still have. That is a much more positive way to think.
Exactly. It is much better to use the time you still have than to keep feeling bad about the time you lost. People cannot change the past, but they can still change the future.
I think another reason people do not start is because they think they need to know everything before they begin. They want to feel fully ready.
That is very true. But most people are never fully ready. They learn while they are moving forward. Confidence usually comes after people start, not before.
I think people should trust themselves more. They may not know everything now, but they can learn step by step.
Exactly. Nobody starts as an expert. Every successful person was once a beginner who knew very little. The important thing is to begin and keep learning.
I think people should stop focusing so much on what they lost and focus more on what they can still build.
Yes, people may have lost time, opportunities, or confidence in the past, but they can still create a better future if they decide to start now.
So maybe the most important lesson is that it is never too late to start.
Exactly. People do not need to have everything ready. They only need the courage to begin.
I think another reason people do not start is because they believe they are not talented enough. They see other people doing something well and then think they could never do the same thing.
Yes, that is very common. People often think success comes only from talent, but talent is not the most important thing. Hard work, patience, and consistency are usually much more important.
I think many people forget that every successful person was once a beginner. Nobody starts with perfect skills.
Exactly. Every singer, teacher, business owner, athlete, or YouTuber was once inexperienced. They only became better because they practiced and kept going.
I think people become discouraged because they want to be good immediately. When they make mistakes in the beginning, they feel like they are not meant for it.
That is very true. But mistakes are normal. Mistakes do not mean someone is weak or untalented. Mistakes simply mean someone is learning.
I think many people also stop because they do not get support from others. Sometimes family or friends do not believe in their goals.
Yes, that can be very difficult. Some people may laugh, criticize, or say negative things. They may tell someone that their dream is impossible or unrealistic.
I think that can make people feel very lonely and discouraged.
Exactly. But people should remember that they do not need everyone to believe in them. Sometimes they only need to believe in themselves.
I think people also waste a lot of time because they keep thinking about what other people will say.
Yes, and that can stop people from trying new things. They become too worried about criticism, failure, or embarrassment.
But no matter what someone does, there will always be people who criticize.
Exactly. That is why people should focus more on what they want and less on what other people think. Other people's opinions should not control someone's future.
I think another problem is that people often expect very fast results. They want to become successful in a very short time.
That is very true. Many people work hard for a few weeks or a few months, and when they do not see big results, they give up.
But real success usually takes much longer than people expect.
Exactly. Many successful people worked quietly for years before they finally reached their goals. People often see only the final success, but they do not see the years of hard work behind it.
I think patience is very important because people need to continue even when progress is slow.
Yes, slow progress is still progress. Even if someone improves only a little every day, those small improvements can become something very big in the future.
I think people should stop thinking only about the final result and focus more on daily actions.
Exactly. People do not need to change their whole life in one day. They only need to take one small step every day.
I think people also need to stop waiting until they feel confident before they begin.
That is very true. Confidence usually comes after people start. The more people practice and improve, the more confident they become.
I think many people are stronger than they realize. They just need to give themselves a chance.
Exactly. People often have more ability, more intelligence, and more strength than they think. But they never discover it because they are too afraid to start.
So maybe the most important lesson is that people should stop doubting themselves so much.
Yes, people do not need to know everything. They only need to believe that they can learn and improve.
I think another important thing people should remember is that starting late does not mean someone cannot still have a great future. Many people think they are too old or too late, but there is still so much time to change their life.
Yes, that is very true. Someone may feel like they wasted many years, but spending more years feeling sad about the past will only make things worse. It is much better to use the time that is still left.
I think many people become trapped in regret. They keep thinking about all the things they should have done earlier.
That is very true. They think, I should have started learning English years ago. I should have started saving money earlier. Or, I should have worked harder when I was younger. But thinking like that only keeps people stuck.
I think people should learn from the past, but they should not punish themselves for it.
Exactly. Everyone makes mistakes, wastes time, or misses opportunities sometimes. That is part of life. What matters now is what people decide to do next.
I think people should also remember that many successful people started late. There are people who built businesses, learned new skills, or changed their whole life much later than others.
Yes, and those stories are very inspiring because they show that success is possible at any age. Some people become successful in their 20s, while others become successful in their 40s, 50s, or even later.
I think people should stop thinking about age so much. Age does not decide if someone can improve their life.
Exactly. A person can become healthier, more confident, more successful, or more educated at almost any age. The only thing that really matters is whether they are willing to start.
I think people also become afraid because they believe they need to make very big changes immediately.
That is very true. But big changes are usually created by many small actions. A person does not need to change their whole life in one day. They only need to improve a little every day.
I think small habits are much more powerful than people realize. Reading for 10 minutes, practicing English for 30 minutes, exercising for a short time, or saving a little money can slowly create a very different future.
Exactly. Many people think small actions are not important because they want fast results. But small actions repeated every day can completely change someone's life after a few months or years.
I think another important thing is that people should stop waiting for motivation all the time.
Yes, because motivation comes and goes. Some days people feel excited and ready to work, but other days they feel tired, lazy, or discouraged.
That is why discipline is so important. Discipline helps people continue even when they do not feel motivated.
Exactly. People who become successful are usually not the people who always feel motivated. They are the people who continue even when they do not feel like it.
I think people should also stop expecting life to become easy before they start.
That is very true. Life will always have stress, problems, responsibilities, and difficult moments. If people wait for everything to become perfect, they may wait forever.
I think people should start even if they are scared, even if they are tired, and even if they are not fully ready.
Exactly. Nobody feels completely ready in the beginning. People learn while they are moving forward. That is how confidence grows.
I think one of the saddest things in life is when people give up on themselves too early.
Yes, because many people are capable of much more than they realize. They just need to believe in themselves a little more and keep trying.
I think people should remember that even if they failed in the past, they can still succeed in the future.
Exactly. Failure is not the end. Failure is often the thing that teaches people the most important lessons.
I think people should stop asking, "Am I too late?" and start asking, "What can I still do from today?"
That is a very powerful question because it helps people focus on the future instead of staying trapped in the past.
I think people should remember that time will pass anyway.
Yes. 1 year from now, people can either be in the same place or they can be proud that they finally started.
So maybe the most important lesson is that it is never too late to start.
Exactly. People do not need to be perfect, talented, or fully ready. They only need to take the first step.